let's just start off because we were talking about the origin story of KIC, the Kigali Innovation City. If you can give us what it is and where did the idea come from?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the groundbreaking ceremony of the Kigali Innovation City. And just very quickly back to your question, the idea of the Kigali Innovation City is one that we've had for over the last 10 years. And the idea for us was to create a space where we can bring together multinational companies, startups, the tech ecosystem, so that they can co-create solutions, so that they can drive the technology agenda for Rwanda. And so what we have today here is just the physical space, but the plans to create that ecosystem have been well in the pipeline for the last 10 years. The very first tenant of the Kigali Innovation City has been the Carnegie Mellon University, and ever since then, 5 years ago, we've had other universities that have been able to join the ecosystem of Kigali Innovation City. And so when we talk about an ecosystem, it's not just the physical space, it's the supporting infrastructure that is needed, it's the policy and regulatory environment that is needed to ensure that we have a thriving ecosystem. It's also the talent, which is very critical, and obviously the financing that is required to scale and grow some of these innovative ideas.
Absolutely. A bunch of fundamental, profound changes made, efforts made in this regard, whether it is education, finance, infrastructure, and also telling the world about it, something that we're doing now, which I'm very pleased to be part of. If I can direct the next question to Mr. Conrad, how do you see the invention of KIC, the creation of KIC, and the education system complement each other to actually achieve the goal? Because without those genius inventors, there's really no point to it.
Thank you very much for the invitation. As Honorable Minister Paula alluded to, education and people are at the core of the digital transformation. And so Carnegie Mellon University, Africa, being a tech-focused institution, are educating the next generation of tech talent here in Rwanda and across the continent. So we are based in Kigali, but we are a Pan-African organization, institution that have students from all across Africa. And with a strong technical education leads to the innovations that creates.
And so when we talk about innovations, we have to go to ANSYS then. We have to talk about what innovations are you excited about? Because, you know, when we talk about tech hubs, there's always this one peak piece of technology that drove the first genius, the first opening act, you can call it. So what is it that you're exciting about when it comes to the innovation aspect?
Well, Francis, I think the outstanding students who come from Carnegie Mellon, coupled with our global collaboration and partnership with CMU, gave us a unique opportunity to be part of the growing technological ecosystem here in Rwanda. And for us to open our first office here was truly the right thing to do and the right place to do it. And we have hired many people from Dr. Tucker's institution, and we continue to hire people to help expand on the vision for the country.
Well, that is clearly testament to how the talent is upcoming. I have to now bring in Africa 50, of course, Mr. Ibobise, because none of this would be possible without mobilizing finance, without building the infrastructure, also the ground infrastructure that's been happening, all the work that Africa 50 has been doing across the continent and now here. How are you feeling about this collaboration finally coming through?
Well, thank you. I want to say that none of this would have been possible without, first of all, the visionary leadership of His Excellency President Kagame. And I want to express my sincere gratitude to His Excellency President Kagame and his government for selecting Africa 50 to help Rwanda implement this very highly impactful project. Now, there are many folks that have contributed to bringing the project where we are today. Certainly, His Excellency, Honorable Prime Minister Girant, he will be here. He's very supportive in the implementation. The government, very Minister Paula, Minister Tessie, RDB CEO Francis, Minister Uzuel is here. He was Minister of Finance. He worked with us and supported us. Former RDB CEO Clara Kamanzi. So you need the vision, you need the policies, and you need the strong focus on delivering result and implementation that we see right here in Rwanda. So Africa 50, which is a Pan-African infrastructure investment platform owned by 32 African countries, including the Republic of Rwanda, the African Development Bank, also two central banks, African central banks are shareholders. Our mandate is to help catalyze financing investment for this type of project, for this type of high-impact projects that are happening right here in Africa. So we are very proud of having selected, of having working with our partners. I should also mention Badea, that has been a very strong partner in helping make this project happen. So now we are at the groundbreaking ceremony. It took us a little bit of time because, again, under the vision of the government, this project was and is to be developed under a public-private partnership framework, a PPP, meaning we want to catalyze private investments in Rwanda. The government is putting just enough public sector investment to enable private capital, and this is the role that we are doing. And so we have today a project which will start construction. We will be highly impactful, deliver, create jobs, help these fantastic institutions such as universities train, produce fantastic talent. Hopefully this talent will stay right here, also produce a technology that will change the world. Let's start this project. That is what this project is all about.
That is indeed an excellent way to close your first remark, that is to change the world. But the fact that you've mentioned about active, proactive leadership, and that being greatly responsible to attract the likes of Africa 50, to get the attention and effort from Carnegie Mellon or ANSYS, is we have Paula and Gabri here present to talk about leadership in that regard. What policy-wise changes or adaptations have you had to make to ensure that this is indeed a success, and like I said earlier, not just for Rwanda, but for the entire region, for the international community, anyone who is looking to set up shop in Rwanda?
So let's start with really the fact that when you have the right policy and regulatory and business environment, it becomes a catalyst, a foundation for a thriving tech ecosystem, or even just generally a thriving industry. And particularly for technology, what happened more than 24 years ago was the deliberate effort for government to know that technology will be front and center of everything that we do as a country. And so even starting with policies around attracting partners, where we were able to have PPP laws that allow us to find the right partners that help us deliver on some of these big, large-scale infrastructure projects. And so that made it possible because we had such frameworks in place that allow for such partnerships to be able to deliver such initiatives. The second one is around the ability to attract, some of the talent building institutions. We talk about Carnegie Mellon University. Right above here, we have the Africa Leadership Academy. We also have the University of Rwanda Biomedical Center. And earlier I was saying why it was deliberate for us to start with these talent building institutions, because we knew that talent, the people, were the right fuel for what this innovation ecosystem needs. You can have amazing buildings, but if you don't have the people that are working on these ideas, that are growing this ecosystem, then it takes a long time to deliver on that kind of vision. And so for us, it was that deliberate choice to find who are the right partners globally, because Rwanda has set itself as a proof of concept hub. What that means is that we're also a Pan-African hub for innovation. When you look at the student population, whether it's at CMU or ALU or many of the universities, even the University of Rwanda, you find that we have more African students that are coming to Rwanda to benefit from the education that is being provided here. What that also means is that them coming together, they are able to build the partnerships that are required to build global solutions, because the challenges they're working to solve for here are not just unique to Rwanda, but are challenges that, if deployed well, they can scale to many parts of the world. And so we've already seen such examples like Zipline, and now we have ANSYS that is working with our different partners, building that kind of capacity, and that is what we're looking for. The other policies we're putting in place, and again, I see within the audience we have the business community through the Rwanda Development Board. We have, whether it's the investment code, we have different instruments in place that allow for people to come and start a business in Rwanda, to do business in Rwanda, and be able to scale out of Rwanda. But we also have a focus on startups, because startups are going to be the engine of this technology ecosystem. And right now we're working on the Startup Act, which will really provide the necessary incentives that allow them to have a level playing field, but also an opportunity to contribute to our development.
Excellent. That was quite a lot of information to unpack, from policy to putting your trust in the youth and digitalization. Just yesterday, a WTO report came out which spoke about, without digitalization, there will be no diversification of economies. So if I can bring in ANSYS again, what is the perception at the moment entering KIC? How do you see that changing? What is the timeline of that change, and what impact do you see that having?
So I think with the forward thinking of Rwanda being a technology-driven economy, having a company like ANSYS partner with the government will be something that's uniquely beneficial to this area. And being a tech hub and being an innovator, I think many technology-driven companies would want to come here because they will be supported in their efforts to, make the future possible today. So one of the things that we do uniquely well at ANSYS is show the art of the possible. And using simulation will allow the very aggressive, what's the word I could use? The very aggressive vision for Rwanda to happen quickly. Quickly being, 5 to 10 years. I see many of the policies driving that innovation and driving the country forward. With this being a proof of concept type hub, what better place for a technology software company like ANSYS to be than with the POC? So for us, it's a unique value for us to be here. It allows us to work with Rwanda to show how the country is progressing forward, and that's something that we could use as ANSYS to propel us further throughout Africa.
Absolutely. Rwanda tends to be, it has been actually for some real good time, a safe haven, an entry point, a gateway to other markets in Africa, and turns out to be a safe space to play around with ideas. Now, to support that startup ecosystem that is being developed, whether it is people coming in from outside and putting the money, or it is to create our own startup ecosystem here. Universities are going to play, students are going to play a big part of it, either to support that ecosystem, of course, for all the jobs that will be created, and then to create their own innovations. What's the collaboration you're looking at with KIC?
So it starts with the building out the talent pipeline. I myself relocated from Pittsburgh and moved to Rwanda mid last year because I was inspired by the vision of the country. I'm originally from Sierra Leone and moved to the US, but what I see Rwanda doing inspired me and my family to relocate. I think there's a lot of talent that is building out at CMU, and when you think of entrepreneurship, it's not just the technology, it's the ecosystem that is there to support it, including financing, including our industry partners. So as we think of innovations at CMU Africa and in Rwanda, we have to look at the environment that supports it, and that is the entrepreneurial mindset that we are instilling on our students so that they can take risks, they can start their companies, they could expand across the continent, and be supported by the ecosystem that Rwanda has been able to provide.
Absolutely, the risk takers of the future. If I could bring in, yes, Mr. Ibobese already knows I'm coming to you. So we're talking about the risk taking, and we constantly talk about the risk of finance, something less in the case of Rwanda for that matter. How do you deal with that when you're looking at a $500 million project at KIC?
Yeah, no, that's a very important question because I think we've talked about many times about the perceived risk versus the actual risk. And we do believe that in creating Africa 50, the founders, so African governments, the African Development Bank, and two African central banks, wanted to have an instrument that would enable this type of project to happen by de-risking those projects, meaning that by coming in early stage, working with the government, investing our own money, and then demonstrating to other investors that, you know, they can come here and invest, have impact, and make money. And there's nothing wrong about making money as long as we're delivering good project at competitive prices and good impact. So we, as an African institution, with African capital, we look at where we have supportive policies, where we have a conducive environment, and we're trying to accelerate investment into these countries. And I have to say, the government of Rwanda was a fantastic partner. Not only the vision is right, but also the implementation. Ministers are sitting at the table with investors to try to solve problems. Officials are there to help make things happen. And this is how you de-risk a country. And this is why you make the country attractive and conducive to investors. Now, we started with KIC, we've made a commitment, but our goal, of course, is to bring additional investors. And as we continue to de-risk the project, we believe, we are confident that more investors will come. And we have appetite to invest in other areas. I was talking to Minister Paula, we are looking at potentially investment in ICT, data centers, and things like that, or other space. So again, Rwanda is an attractive and conducive investment destination, and we want to showcase. We want to make sure that not only we showcase by talking, but also by putting our money into those investments.
Thank you. That all of those comments, two comments each from each of the panelists, does sum up what is the idea behind KIC, the forces that have been working towards making it happen, and the fact that there is a stable environment to keep it going. If I could get some final comments in terms of what's next, because as you all have just shared, you couldn't probably bundle up the work of, as Minister Ngabire says, 10 years. You can't package a decade into this panel right now, but final comments for the future.
What's next? That the next trillion-dollar company and idea is created and expanded right here in Rwanda. That we continue to build upon our Pan-African vision and advance the digital transformation of Africa. And so we're very thankful and appreciative of the government of Rwanda and for CME Africa being here.
That is a beautiful ambition. Mr. Ibobese.
Yeah, what next for us as a mandate is to help close the infrastructure gap in Africa, including in the ICT space. What next is to accelerate the broadband internet penetration, not only in Rwanda, which is quite high already, but across Africa, because we need access, we need broadband across the continent really to enable the next phase of growth of the continent. What next for us is to deploy capital and to demonstrate that right here in Africa, we are able to make good investments with good returns and impact, which we are doing. Now we have to speed up and scale up because our needs are urgent and vast. So we've done good things, but it's not enough. We have to do a lot more, a lot faster, and we're actually making money. Our portfolio is fine. So that's what we want to show to the African investors, but also to the world. This is what is next. Continue to do good investment, impactful investment, supporting conducive policies and visions that will catalyze private investment at scale. And Africa 50 will be there to support.
Amazing.
We want to be on the ride to help Rwanda see its digital transformation strategy. So we want to be a part of that, and it starts with us providing simulation tools, but also training for the current marketplace, but as well as the students, so that we continue to make simulation pervasive, and I think that will definitely help the country reach its goals a lot quicker. So we look forward to being part of that process.
I think for most of my partners, they've really highlighted what's next. And for me, I would say what's next for us is bringing this project to a reality. Today, we get to be part of the birthing process of the Kigali Innovation City as we break ground for the very first building. But we also hope that we also get to implant within the DNA of our corporate organizations, government institutions, the country as a whole, technology as part of our DNA, so that truly 5 to 10 years from now, we can start to see the unicorns that are coming out of this place, and we can put Rwanda on the map.
Absolutely. In my experience of speaking to different people in business, especially entrepreneurs, upcoming startups in East Africa, why I find this to be a very interesting project and very promising is precisely because it allows entrepreneurs to work within the context. This is all organically grown from the land, which makes a big difference. Now, all of those things, that accessibility is a game changer, whether it is to education or finance. And I'm absolutely grateful to be able to share this story in a sort of summarized fashion today at this panel, and certainly wish you all the best, wish us, the entire region, very good luck, because this seems to be an ace start. Thank you.